Hey, my name is Tristan and I'm in second grade and I asked my teacher to show me an experiment where water curves. She couldn't do it because it doesn't curve. The water always finds a water.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. I'm a flat earther. Hey, my name is Tristan and I'm in second grade and I asked my teacher to show me an experiment where water curves. She couldn't do it because it doesn't curve. The water always finds its water.
What'd your teacher do?
She just didn't talk to me anymore. All she did was walk away. And I was like, what is this about? What?
That's okay though. For being so young, you're very, very smart. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So keep up the good work, man, and stay flat, okay?
Okay, I'm a flat earther. She couldn't do it.
Rip this up for sound bites. This is awesome.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to Anti-Religious Scripture Study with me, Karen B, and of course, Just Jack, Flat Earth.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Sorry we are late today. Today it is entirely my fault.
All her fault.
But we're still here, so that's good.
All right, so I'd like to show everybody my sukkah today. So if Karen can put me full screen, and Alex is going to take my camera back so people can see. There you go.
Well,
then...
hold on.
Okay. All right. I'm holding. Hold on, she says.
I have to put you full screen. Unless you can make your, well... Fuck, how do I do this? Hold on.
Do I need to stop sharing? Would that help?
Yes.
Okay. There you go.
Okay, now... Can I pin you to the second screen? No, this is not working. Hold on. For crying out loud.
I guess people could like get really close to their phones and squint at the little square.
There we go.
Am I big now?
Yeah, but hold on, now you're a little bit too big.
No such thing.
Fit to screen. Okay, now go.
All right, now back it up. All right. Can you see the whole sucker now? Tilt it up a little bit.
Tilt it up a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Okay, that's good.
That's my sucker. All right. Bring it in. All right, there we go. Now you gotta wiggle it and put it all back together, huh?
Okay.
Appreciate you letting me share that.
All right.
We worked all day yesterday on it, and I'll be working on it again tomorrow.
And you're sleeping in it?
I probably will spend a couple nights in it. Yep. I don't know that I'm going to spend the whole week in it because, well, definitely not the whole week because from Tuesday to Thursday we're joining a group in Tennessee, and then we're coming back here for the end of the week. And by then I might have the regular tent up that I'll be staying in. It depends on the logistics, you know. Who knows? I might be spending 5 out of the 7 days in here. Maybe not. We'll see. But I'll go ahead and read my disclaimer before we get into it. Just Jack's disclaimer. To the religious, if you believe it's wrong to study the scripture outside of your religion or denomination, if you believe your religious leaders or church fathers are incapable of having inherited anti-scriptural traditions of men, if you've made up your mind about scripture, including the scripture shouldn't be studied at all, then the stream is not for you. To others, if you are open-minded to others' opinions, if you haven't made up your mind about scripture, if you've been turned off to religion but believe there's truth in scripture that may have been changed or hidden by religion, if you live according to scripture and like to dig in and discover more, then the stream is for you. We are looking at scripture in the original language using concordances or dictionaries for root words, as well as context from a non-religion perspective. We will as well have life experience discussion. We are not here to argue with others about theology or doctrine by the traditions of men, including Catholicism, Christianity, or Judaism. We will be discussing the importance of origins and show how religions contradict the scriptures. There we go.
All right.
So how about that font? Did it fit the screen? Good. Okay, good. I had a claim that the font was too small to read on a phone, so I tried to make it as big as possible to fit the screen. Alrighty. So last week I think we were dealing with Aaron and oh my gosh, what's her name? Oh no, that was the week prior.
It was the spies. Last week it was spies.
The spies, right. Well, this one continues into it, but just to recap, one from each tribe of the 12 tribes got sent to search out the land, to spy out the land, which is actually walking the perimeter, basically, for spying out the land. And they said, well, it's really good, but the people are big, so much so that we consider them seeing us as grasshoppers. Like, they're so big that we must look really tiny to them. And they brought back fruit, showing that there was good amounts from the land, and that the people were called Nephilim, aka the fallen ones, the sons of Anak.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Men of great size.
Yep. And then we're now talking about the people who, after hearing this bad report, and there was only one that was defending Yah's plan rather than their own eyes. It's like, what are you talking about? The land is great. Let's go kick their butts, right? Let's go get it. And his name was Dog, right? Caleb, which means dog. So yeah, he was like, let's go get it. He was like a dog with a bone. So that was a bad joke I gave last week. And we're in chapter 14 now. So whenever you're ready, this is a continuation of the same event.
Okay. Just before we start, I want to
Shoot.
just point out a little thing about the previous chapter where you were just talking about where they saw the men of great size, or the Nephilim.
Yes.
Everybody, when I put up that video on my channel where I was talking about there's no giant trees in the book of Enoch or in the Bible, right? Except for in the dream, like they don't talk about real trees that are giant. It's an allegory every time they talk about it. And so people always tell me, well, if everybody's big and everything's giant, why would they call it giant? And I'm like, dude, they talk about, like, they're sitting there basically assuming like everybody was big that and everything was giant. It's like, no, they definitely differentiate between regular people and men of great size, right?
Right.
Or
Right.
giant people.
Right. Yeah. And men of great stature as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like the word for, Elohim, people automatically think it means deity or angel. It doesn't. It's the strong leaders. So that can be interpreted, like even in the book of Judges, it talked about the people that were in charge of Israel. The judges were called the Elohim, right? Because they're the strong leaders of the people. So and it does say indeed men of great size, right? So they were comparing their size to those that they were searching out. They were bigger than them. And the same thing goes for when we're looking back to, Genesis, where it was talking about, the larger ones, and they were called the sons of Elohim, but that can be interpreted in a couple different ways. But it depends on, some people's conviction about some scriptures overriding Torah. And that's between them and Yah. I don't have a claim of positive or negative to that. I just use the Torah as my plumb line, as my level. Anything outside of that, I'll look into it. I find it interesting, but I just don't, I don't try to add to or take away from the Torah, which is what the Torah says. Do not add to or take away from this Torah. So on that,
Okay.
we can jump into 14. And that's always going to be an argument. I mean, let's face it, there's always going to be camps of people that believe one way or another. But for me, it's like
these cherry pickers.
Let's put it this way. What does it matter? Does it matter that there's an evil influence that you can't see? Well, there's an evil influence that you can't see when you're hearing mainstream news.
Right.
That's another example of an evil influence that you can't see, where like it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything about how you live. How you live should be the only thing that you should be concerned with, not what other people are doing that are, wicked. Like, it's good to expose, don't get me wrong, but if you obsess about these invisible bad guys that make bad things happen, what's the point? Do you change anything by obsessing about them? But I mean, to each their own.
Yeah, I hear you. All right.
Back to parallel, so we can show scriptures on the left and HSBR on the right.
All right.
Hebrew Study Bible Revised by me. All right.
Then all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night.
All right. So they heard the 10 out of the 12 complaining that we're going to be taken over. We're teeny tiny. And Caleb's like, no, let's go get it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So verse 2.
And all the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and against Aharon, and all the congregation said to them, if only we had died in the land of Mitzrayim, Or if only we had died in this wilderness.
Yeah, this is a common occurrence with them, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
They're constantly like whining, "Oh, we just got led out here to be killed." Okay, so you you were whining that you were about to be killed in front of the reed sea. So the reed sea was parted and you walked through. You were
Mm-hmm.
complaining that you didn't have any water and he led us out here to die of thirst. So then he gave you clean water. Then you were complaining that, we didn't have enough food. So then he gave you manna. Then you were complaining that, it was better food in Egypt. So then he gave you quail. Now we're going to go into the mainland to take over, to have our own crops and fields and cattle and everything else living on the rich land. And what are you going to do? You're going to complain again. Like, how many times does a creator have to, go work on your behalf before you, realize that, he's going to be there for you? All right.
Right. And why is Jehovah bringing us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should become a prey? Would it not be better for us to turn back to Mitzrayim?
I don't like this translation of prey. It is not prey, but spoil, like the spoils of war.
Mm-hmm.
Plunder, even in King James Version, plunder is better than prey, because prey is like, prey is,
Mm-hmm.
being hunted as animal or meat or whatever. But no, it's plunder.
All right. And they said to each other, "Let us appoint a leader, and let us turn back to Mitzrayim."
Okay, so this is we'll gift a head. We will gift a head, and it said appoint a leader. But they want to gift themselves a head over them, like a man in charge, which that has always been the creator's plan, to not have a man in charge.
Right.
That's always been the plan. And people constantly cry out for a man to be in charge. All right.
Yes. Jehovah was an anarchist.
That's right.
I love it.
One ruler, one king, and that's the creator himself. And what does he create you to do? To lead yourself.
Right. Exactly. All right. Then Moshe and Aharon fell on their faces before all the assembly of the congregation of the children of Israel.
So they humbled themselves.
And Yehoshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Yaphune, who were among those who had spied out the land, tore their garments.
Okay, so this is a typical action for mourning. Like, you lost somebody very close to you that died, you tear your garments as a sign of mourning. And so they're like, you guys are basically like killing us with your words, But the fell on your faces, just double check here. Yeah, so this is fall. Okay, fall, where we get the word fall, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Right? The Hebrew word. This is where we get Nephal, which is continue to fall, which is where we get Nephalim. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Continue falling, plural. So that's, so they fell on their faces. So it's fall. All right?
Okay.
All right, so the sidekick of Moshe, Yehoshua, and Caleb, the only good reporter, are the ones that are like, you guys, like, we're mourning the loss of the land because of you guys' word. All right?
Mm-hmm. And they spoke to all the congregation of the children of Israel, saying, "The land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land."
Right. And this is not pass through, it's cross over. Okay, so cross over here. This is where we get the word Ivri, which is Hebrews. Okay, those who cross over. All right, so we crossed out to spy the land. All right.
Okay.
And it's a search of the land. So, okay.
If Jehovah has delighted in us, then he shall bring us into the land and give it to us, a land which is flowing with milk and honey.
And just for those who have missed it in the previous, a land flowing with milk and honey shows the prosperity of the land, because animals will produce more milk if it's prosperous, and honey will be more available because the plant life is prosperous.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Only do not rebel against Jehovah, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their defense has turned away from them, and Jehovah is with us. Do not fear them.
Okay. Do not rebel is, yeah, without rebellion. Yep. Okay. That's a good one.
Okay.
For they are our bread. So does that mean we eat people? No. Bread is a term for provision, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, give us this day our daily bread, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean like we're not talking about bread. We're talking about actual provision, things that sustain us.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But
Verse 10.
But all the congregation said to stone them with stones. Then the esteem of Jehovah appeared in the tent of appointment before all the children of Israel.
And this is heap stones, which is heaping stones. Then the esteem. Okay, so esteem is what the King James Version calls glory, but it's actually the heaviness, the weightiness, the liver, the heavy of Yah.
Mm-hmm.
So they could physically feel his presence, right?
Mm-hmm. And Jehovah said to Moshe, how long shall I be scorned by these people, and how long shall I not be trusted by them with all the signs which I have done in their midst?
Okay, so this one says, befall me. And this one says, befall, provoke. This one says scorned, but it's actually blaspheme.
Okay.
Why do they blaspheme me? Why do they despise me?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let me strike them with the pestilence and disinherit them, and make of you a nation greater and mightier than they.
Let me strike them with disorder. Disorder. That's what the word means. But by extension, a plague.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to wipe them out. All right. And you, Moses, make you a nation greater and mightier than they. I'm starting over with you, Moses. And Moses is like, yes, no. He's like, no, please, not me. All right.
And Moshe said to Jehovah, then the Mitzrites shall hear it, for by your power you brought these people up from their midst.
Keep reading.
And they shall say to the inhabitants of this land, they have heard that you, Jehovah, are in the midst of these people, that you, Jehovah, are seen eye to eye, and that your cloud stands above them, and you go before them in a column of cloud by day and a column of fire by night.
All right, so the word is going to get back to Egypt that you led them out here, and you led them by pillar of fire and pillar of smoke. All right.
Mm-hmm. Now, if you shall kill these people as one man, then the nations which have heard of your report shall speak, saying, because Jehovah was not able to bring these people to the land which he swore to give them, therefore he slew them in the wilderness.
So he's saying, like, if you kill these people, the word's going to get back to Egypt. Okay, yeah, he got them out of Egypt, but then he led them in the wilderness and wiped them all out. That doesn't make you look good.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And now I pray, let the power of Jehovah be great, as you have spoken, saying, Jehovah is patient and of great loving commitment, forgiving crookedness and transgression, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of the fathers of the children to the third and fourth generation.
Okay, so this refers back to Exodus 34:7 here. So if I go there, it says, watching over loving commitment for thousands, forgiving crookedness and transgression and sin, but by no means leaving unpunished, visiting the crookedness of the fathers upon the children and the children's children to the third and fourth generation. And it's also, it's also talking about Numbers 14, going back to where we just were.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one is in Exodus chapter 20, which is the quote unquote 10 Commandments, where it talks about, I got to find it really quick. All right. So it says, do not bow down to them, false idols, nor serve them, for I, Jehovah, am a jealous El, visiting the crookedness of the fathers on the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but showing loving commitment to thousands to those who love me and guard my commands. Right? So that is a repetitive claim, not just in 34:7 and Numbers 14:18, but it's basically saying when we're talking about the third and fourth generation in mainstream churchianity and probably other divisions off of that, they think the third and fourth generations is a generational curse. As in, if I do something bad, then my grandchildren are going to pay for it. That's not what it's talking about at all. What it's talking about of those who hate me. So if you're someone who hates Yah and chooses to ignore the creator and do your own selfish thing and show basically hatred towards the creator, then most likely your son will repeat the problem, right? And then the next son will repeat the problem. It happens in households of abuse and substance abuse and everything else where, the children will pick up the sins of their father, not because it's a curse, but it's just because they learned the habit from their parent, right?
Right.
But if you're the one who flips the script, then that can last for 1,000 generations of those who love you and keep his commands. All right. So verse 19.
Please forgive the crookedness of this people according to the greatness of your loving commitment, as you have forgiven this people from Mitzrayim even until now.
Like you could have wiped them out at the sea, right? You could have wiped them out when they were complaining about water. You could have wiped them out when they were complaining about food. Like you're just gonna have to forgive them again. I know it sucks, but forgive them again, because like Moshe's like, I don't want to do this again. Like, just make it work with these people. And this is where this is where Yah could have wiped out his people, because even from the time that they broke the covenant, he could have wiped them out then as well, because he audibly was heard by everyone with the commands. And then when Moshe took too long, they built the golden calf and called it Yehovah and all that nonsense. He could have wiped them out then, All
right. And Yehovah said, I shall forgive according to your word. But truly as I live, and all the earth is filled with the esteem of Yehovah, for none of these men who have seen my esteem and the signs which I did in Mitzrayim and in the wilderness, and have tried me now these 10 times and have disobeyed my voice.
So that's, all those different times I told you about. And the esteem, who have seen my weight. Yeah, my physic, my glory, my kavod, my weight.
Shall see the land of which I swore to their fathers, nor any of those who scorned me see it. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit in him and has followed me completely, I shall bring into the land where he went, and his seed shall inherit it.
Now, he has a different spirit. Does that mean he was possessed by a different spirit? No, he has a different spirit, because instead of whining and complaining and talking about how much we're going to get our butts kicked, he's like, let's go get it. God's with us. Right? So he had a different spirit, and therefore him and his descendants will inherit the land. But everyone else of his generation, with their bad reports, they're dying in the desert. Their children will make it into the land, but they won't.
Since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are dwelling in the valley, turn back tomorrow and set out into the wilderness by way of the Sea of Reeds.
And that's the sea that he split for them to cross, right? So, go back that way, and they're basically backtracking to come around into the land.
And Yehovah spoke to Moshe and to Aharon, saying, How long shall this evil congregation have this grumbling against me? I have heard the grumblings which the children of Israel are grumbling against me.
Yep.
Say to them, as I live, declares Yehovah, as you have spoken in my hearing, so I do to you.
Okay, so this is swearing by his name. As I live, declares Yehovah. So he's swearing by his own name. All your grumbling that you're saying, all the bad stuff you think is going to happen to you, so be it. That's why you need to watch what you say, man.
Yeah, careful what you manifest, right?
Yep, exactly.
The carcasses of you who have grumbled against me are going to fall in this wilderness, all of you who were registered according to your entire number from 20 years old and above.
Yep. So he's talking about when they came out, they were numbered at Sinai. And so all those who are numbered for 20 years on up, everyone from those 12 tribes will not be entering into the promised land.
None of you, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Yehoshua, son of Nun, shall enter the land which I swore I would make you dwell in.
All right.
But your little ones, whom you said would become a prey, I shall bring in, and they shall know the land which you have rejected.
Now he said, you guys are claiming that they were going to be prey or spoil of war. He's like, I'm rejecting that curse over your children,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Now remember what we said about him punishing to the third and fourth generations, right? Here, this is only one generation. Their children are going to enter the land. So the curse is not brought upon them. The forgiveness has, let them move on.
Mhm.
And these children are little ones because they're the skippers.
Right?
They skip around.
Mhm.
So your little ones, they're going to come in the land because, I'm not putting that curse on them that you tried to put on them. I reject it.
Mhm.
Good thing you did.
But as for you, your carcasses are going to fall in this wilderness, and your sons shall be wanderers in the wilderness for 40 years, and shall bear your whorings until your carcasses are consumed in the wilderness.
So in 40 years, in the span of 40 years, everyone will have died out that was from the original generation, the generation of Caleb. So they'll be like, let's say they were 20 years old when they went to search out the land. They'll be 60, and they'll be dead. There'll be no more,
Okay.
except for Caleb.
According to the number of the days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, a day for a year, a day for a year, you are to bear your crookedness for 40 years, and you shall know my breaking off.
Because they spied out the land for 40 days. That was earlier in the chapter.
Mm-hmm. I am Yehovah, I have spoken. I shall do this to all this evil congregation who are meeting against me. In this wilderness they are consumed, and there they die. And the men whom Moshe sent out to spy the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against him by bringing an evil report of the land, even those men who brought the evil report about the land died by the plague before Yehovah. Of those,
And again, that's not necessarily plague.
right,
That's what is stricken.
right. Of those men who went to spy out the land, only Yehoshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh remained alive.
Just in case you didn't get it the first 3 times.
Yeah. And when Moshe spoke these words to all the children of Israel, the people mourned greatly.
Yep.
And they rose up early in the morning and went up to the top of the mountain, saying, See, we have indeed sinned, but we shall go up to the place which Jehovah had spoken of. But
Because the distance of us, they rose up early at daybreak, the top of the mountain, and speak, Look here, us, toward the place that which speak Jehovah, because distance us. I don't know how this got. Oh, indeed, we have sinned. Okay, so they changed the order of the sentence. That's what threw me off. But again, sinned is the distance, right? The separation between us and him. So here it's the distance of the land as well, because they're looking off at the land from the mountaintop, like that's the land we can't go to.
But Moshe said, Why do you now transgress the mouth of Jehovah, since it does not prosper?
Yeah, and it's actually, why do you cross over? And this says transgress. Why do you cross over action to the mouth of Jehovah? Doesn't do you any good.
Do not go up, lest you be smitten by your enemies, for Jehovah is not in your midst.
Yeah, don't even try it. Don't attempt it.
Because the Amalekites and the Canaanites are there before you, and you shall fall by the sword, because ye have turned away from Jehovah. Jehovah is not with you.
Right.
But they presumed to go up to the mountaintop, but neither the ark of the covenant or Jehovah nor Moshe left the camp. So the Amalekites and the Canaanites who dwelt in that mountain came down and struck them and beat them down, even to Hormah.
Very good. So they're like, let's go observe the land. Maybe it's still possible, like it's right over there. And then, the people that they said they were going to be beaten by, they were. Like, you claim it, take it. I'm going to make you an honest person. You want to make those curses upon yourself? Then so be it, Got to be careful what you say. Words have power. All right, so next chapter, which will be at the end of Sukkot, is one of my favorites, starting from verse 15, if you want to read ahead. But Numbers 15, one of my favorites. Numbers 15 and Leviticus 23 are my favorite chapters to recognize how to recognize Yah's will. Because Numbers 15 basically tells you there ain't no special people. Basically, that's what it comes down to. But all right, that was a long chapter. Let me tell you, I was translating that till 5 o'clock this morning. Because yesterday I was building a sukkah and I did my last hour of work, and then I got into translating and I was only like at verse 20. So 25, the last 25 verses kept me up till 5 a.m.
Wow.
And then I was like, thank goodness I got it done. Now we can start at 11 a.m.
I'm so sorry.
Karen texts me and she says, we're going to do a later show. And I'm like, I'm going back to sleep.
Well, I guess it works out because you got to take a nap.
Exactly. I needed that rest. It is Shabbat after all. It is the day of rest. So.
Yeah. All right.
So I encourage everyone to take a rest today. And, I hope that y'all are enjoying Sukkot, the week of partying. And Karen, of course, you're welcome to come over anytime this week, except for between Tuesday and Thursday. But
okay.
and you left 2 sweaters here, or a sweater and a jacket.
I know. I think I left my Deftones windbreaker there.
And the Flat Earther sweatshirt, I think.
I didn't even wear a Flat Earther sweatshirt over there. It must be somebody else's.
Could be. I mean, there was a lot of people here. It might have been Zach's or Cammy's.
I wore.
If y'all are listening, somebody's sweatshirt's here.
It might have been Cammy. Maybe it could have been Cammy.
Oh, somebody's Skyping at you.
Yeah.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, y'all.
All right, you guys. Thank you once again for joining us for another episode of Anti-Religious Scripture Study. Earth is still flat. And have a restful day. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.